if you were to gather 100 people that were all concealed carrying and ask them what kind of gun you're carrying, chances are 70 to 90 of those 100 people are carrying some sort of polymer grip, semi-automatic handgun. And then there's the rest. That'll be things like 1911s, maybe a couple all metal guns like CZ75s and a few others, but there'll be only a couple people carrying a revolver. And I'm here to tell you, you're making a mistake. People are quickly writing off the revolver because there's such a wealth of polymer double stack handguns out there. And there's this belief that for some reason I need 60 rounds. I need to be able to sustain a gunfight for hours. When the reality is most gunfights last within just a second or two, and then it's all over, just a few shots fired. So I want to take a look at the benefits of the revolver, because it's one thing to say, well, you won't need 60 rounds when 6 will do great. So I don't want to sit there and tell you that somehow having 6 rounds is a benefit to having 60. That's not what this is about. But there are definitely things that a revolver will give you that none of these other guns will give you collectively like this. Now, a lot of guns will fit these categories, but to have everything in here listed in one single gun is very significant. And I think it's time we quit writing off the revolver. So here's the benefits of carrying a revolver. Number one, reliability. A revolver is truly one of the most reliable guns on the planet. It's a time and tested, true, reliable means of firearms. And being able to just pull that trigger, rotate that cylinder, if for some reason something goes wrong, you just pull it again. And chances are, if it's not firing, it's something to do with the ammo. There's definitely, most likely, nothing wrong with your revolver. Fantastic reliability. That, and I know there's reliable semi-automatic handguns out there, but not as a percentage of reliability that you're going to get out of revolvers. All right, next, simplicity. It's so simple to use, so simple. You just pull and squeeze. It's easy to load. It's easy to reload, and a lot of times people won't use their semi-automatic handgun because they fail to make it function. Like maybe they're getting older or they have weak grip strength or that sort of thing. Anybody can operate a revolver. Very, very, very simple. All right, third, double action, single action trigger, man. This is a great thing because most guns don't give you the option. I can't have a double action gun and say, well, now I'd like it to be single action. And I can't have a single action gun and say, well, now I'd like it to be double action. With a revolver, you can. You can just pull and shoot double action, meaning you squeeze that trigger, it pulls that hammer back and then releases it as the second action as you keep squeezing. Or you can pull the hammer back and have just this awesome trigger that's kind of like a hunting rifle trigger all of a sudden. You just touch it and it goes, like a 1911 trigger kind of thing. It's just one of the very few guns out there that lets you have the option, and there's guns out there that are double action, single action, like a CZ75, for example, where the first round is double action and every round after that is single action. But it doesn't necessarily give you that option. Like once it's in single action, you're kind of in single action. A lot of guns will let you take it out. So I won't say there aren't any guns that will do this, but every revolver will let you do this for the most part. There's very few that won't give you the option of both. For quick draw, double action. For accuracy, single action. All right, fourth, no manual safety needed. Love this, love it. Some guns don't have manual safety. A lot of semi-automatic guns don't have manual safety, but I think that brings to bear a kind of a little warning sign to some people, myself being one of them. I'm not a big fan of carrying a single action gun without a manual safety. And I'm not a fan of carrying a gun with a manual safety on at all. So I typically will always prefer the first round double action because it is literally impossible to make that gun go off. You'd have to pull really hard on that trigger and for all the way through. It just gives you that option to not worry about a manual safety. You know, and I know a lot of you don't worry about a manual safety. I understand that. A lot of people carry Glocks and SIG P320s, and that's fine. I just am not one of those people. I'm a work in progress. I love Glock, love them, own a couple of them. I just would prefer, if I'm going to carry a gun around, that there be the first round double action. It's just a personal preference of mine. And it's something about the fact that you just don't need that manual safety. You just pull and squeeze. And I know that's why people love guns like Glock. But if you're not gonna, if you're not gonna fit in that niche, then there's not a lot of other options. Revolver, all of them will fit this option. All right, number 5, durability. Now, a lot of guns are very, very durable. Don't get me wrong. But you fast forward 30, 40 years, I think you're going to see a difference in your semi-automatic guns and your revolvers. Maybe I'm wrong. Depends on how you take care of them. But a revolver is a darn durable gun. You could beat the crud out of these things and they will just keep on keeping on. I've only met one person that had a revolver be destroyed beyond repair. I'm sure there's more out there, but I've only met one. So if you've had a revolver destroyed, put it in the comments below. I'd like to know more than one person. All right, number 6, calibers. Now here's something that you're not going to get. You're just not going to get with your semi-automatic handguns. You're going to be able to get calibers like 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, 38 Special, 45 Long Colt. I mean, you can go on and on. 22 Magnum, 22 LR. There's a wealth of calibers you can get, 9mm even, 10mm. There's so many different calibers you can get in a revolver. And the reason is because we go back to that durability thing. You know, Glock doesn't make a 357 Magnum or a 44 Magnum Glock because it'd blow that thing up. A revolver is going to be able to sustain that kind of high level of power. So, you know, and they make revolvers that are 45-70 government. You have some of the greatest calibers on the planet for handguns as options for your revolver. All right. Number 7, accuracy. Now, I know a lot of guns are accurate. CZ75, very accurate. 1911s, very accurate. Glock, very accurate. But it's something about a revolver in single action. To date, the most accurate shots I've ever got out of a handgun have been out of revolvers. Things that I'm able to achieve in single action with a revolver, I've just not been able to do with semi-automatic handguns. And I know, you know, that a lot of people disagree. I'm just sharing my own experience that typically, if you put almost any revolver in single action, you're gonna perform better than a polymer handgun of the same size. Most likely. Not all the time, but most likely. You'll have a higher percentage of better shots out of a single action revolver than you will a polymer handgun. All right, finally, number 8, the joy of shooting. You know, revolvers are so much fun to shoot. They're so much fun to function. I'll sit there sometimes just pulling that hammer back and rotating that cylinder just because it's fun to do. Call me weird, but it is. And they're fun to shoot. It gives you a variable that you might not have. So if you're typically carrying polymer handguns or 1911s, throw a revolver into your rotation, and I think what you're going to find is your level of joy has just increased when it comes to shooting. So there you go. There's what I believe to be 8 great benefits that you're going to get out of a revolver that you're not necessarily going to get out of other handguns. And again, a lot of other handguns have a lot of these options, but very few of them have all of these options. And you know, revolvers aren't just 6-shot revolvers. There's 8-shot revolvers out there. There's 10-shot revolvers out there. There's a lot of good. You can change your capacity pretty quick. You practice a speed load. I mean, goodness gracious, you ever seen Jerry Miculek shoot and reload a revolver? You'd think to yourself, well, if I practiced, you're of no disadvantage to somebody that's reloading with a magazine. So there you go, man. I recommend throw a revolver into your carry rotation, practice with it, and you're going to get some benefits that you're just not going to get with any other gun. So there you go. Love to know your thoughts on any of this. Definitely put it below. I do want to take a moment, see most people watch the channel. Hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. Greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.